Good morning, everybody. I'm actually looking into the sun right now. It hasn't quite hit my porch fully, so I'm going to try to get this shorter video done. Normally, we've been working in the kitchen, but I wanted to take a break this week and actually show you my garden for this fall. Now, I normally have a really big garden, but this year I did a porch garden just so I could redo some gardening out there. We had a kudzu issue, so I wanted to let the goats into the big garden to work on eradicating that. And so I kept my garden up here on the porch. And I wanted to show it to you because not everyone wants a huge garden. Not everyone has room for a big garden. Not everyone has land for a big garden. A lot of people are in apartments, or they're in townhomes, or homes like what's across the street from me. Let's see if I can turn this. I can't turn this. Homes like this that are on 1/10 of an acre. This is your typical modern suburban area, and this makes me sick because this used to be a 30-acre farm, and in 2020 they raised it and put, it's like 109 houses. And each of these houses, the average price is probably $350,000, $400,000 now, and they're on 1/10 of an acre. So this little house over here, let's see, right there, that doesn't have the fence, he has maximized his space and has a nice little raised bed garden. He cannot grow grass because they completely screwed up the engineering of the land, and his yard is a mud pit. But he is able to use raised beds and grow quite a bit of food there. But maybe you don't have that. Maybe you have a large deck. Like I have a huge deck that wraps around my house, and this deck is kind of pointless unless you entertain a lot, which we don't anymore. The sun is fixing to come out from behind the tree. But maybe you have a patio in a townhouse or something like I just showed you. So I'm going to show you some small scale gardening. So first of all, let me turn this around. This is my porch. And yes, I do have a little bit of mess right here. These are my PVC pipe rail system that I actually have my husband put together to create a frame over these particular beds. And I've just pulled them out to see, because I'm going to have to replace my connectors. I'll show them to you in a minute. But as you walk up my stairs, this is what you see. So we're just going to start over here because the way the sun's going to hit. Now this, I do have a little fig tree growing in this bucket for a little while. And yes, I have a lot of flowers and not all food, but if you needed to, you absolutely could use these containers for food. And I have used that one in the past for food. I have the matching one of these right over here that has food in it, so you could maximize your space for food production. I like a mix, and I didn't need it all for food production. I have a aster plant that is not doing so hot. I'm going to pull that and put something else there. You could put food here, but I have a ton of food right here. So I have some parsley, and I just put in some more lettuce and spinach that is now getting crowded out by my collard greens, which need to be picked. I have some beets right here, and they are looking lovely. Lots of lettuce. We have been harvesting lettuce for a few weeks, mostly out of the other bed. So here's the second bed, and I just put this frame in today. I'm about to harvest all of this bok choy right here. We've harvested a ton of bok choy, and we've harvested most of the lettuce out of this particular bed. So there's like spaces that are missing, and I keep going back in and planting little small lettuces, so you can see like the size difference right here. I just put in these last week, and then to the big ones that you can tell, like I have pulled out, wherever there's little lettuces, I've pulled out big lettuces. And I will put a picture up on the screen right here of what this bed looked like. I want to say it was 2 or 3 weeks ago before I started harvesting out of it. Now the collards had not gotten really big at that point. The only thing that is struggling right here are my kale. And the kale, and you can see right here, the bok choy and my collards were just getting obliterated by a moth. But I also know that the time of the year is changing. We're mid-October, so that's fixing to change. And so if they can just get through, they're going to take off. And obviously the collards did. So the kale was kind of my, what do you call it, catch plant for the bugs. Now I do have some row cover stuff over here that I actually need to pick up, but I can use that. But it is more for the spring and the summer to shade this garden versus the winter when it will need like frost fabric covering. So that's what these pieces are down here. And I was going through them because my husband had 3D printed me these connector pieces to, and then you can see that he put these on the sides of the bed. And so this like slides in here, and then this connector piece, I think this is a corner one actually, the rails come off, and so it created this really high cover so that all my brassica plants could still be really tall like my collards and the frost fabric be over them. So I've pulled those out, and I need to have him reprint some ends because some of the ends had kind of dry rotted, or else get like the regular PVC pipe ends to fix that. And then obviously I've got like some pots and stuff up here, but that's okay. It is my front porch, but I will clean that up probably today, and we'll come over here to the front door. I just do flowers, but you could again put kale and stuff over here and it would be absolutely stunning. So again, over here, this is an old roaster pan that I put feet on and drilled holes in the bottom and made it into a pot. We have some succulents hanging out in an old, what do you call that, colander. But all of this space could easily be salad greens. And there's a kitty in the window. Hey, Jumper. And moving over here, this is the other flower. But now we're starting to get into more food production. So this one is Swiss chard. That's quite a bit of Swiss chard. And then over here is herbs. And I have been harvesting off this basil. It keeps trying to go to seed on me. So I need to do a good harvest. I need to check our 10-day forecast to see. We may have a frost coming up. Now this is under the eave of my house, so a light frost, it should be okay. And then here is that other barrel. And it has collard greens in it, and as you can see, whatever that was, the little moth or bug or whatever, it chomped on them, but now they are starting to take off. So I have a feeling I'll have a really nice crop of collard greens here in the next couple weeks. All of the little buggy places will be gone, and they will be growing well. Here are some mums that I can replace that aster with, and I need to find homes for those. So I have some chives here in this pot, and this is one of those like self-watering pots. And another pot of salad greens. This one is absolutely stunning. I need to harvest from it. I have some purslane in the little piggy. This actually came out of my garden. I brought the pig up because the chickens had eaten all the purslane, and I had not put anything else in it, and it came back. So I'm just letting it be. And then this is a bucket garden, and they were kind of like I saw them on YouTube a few times back in like 2020 when everyone was trying to figure out production. I actually got this from the North Carolina State Extension Agricultural Department. I took a class with them on teaching school gardening because I was working with the school garden at the time, and I helped build these, and then they gave one away at the end, and I actually happened to win it. So I have replaced the bucket since then. These are brand new buckets for this year because they had drilled holes in the bottom, and I had problems sustaining moisture in them. So those buckets were kind of dry rotted at this point. So I got all new buckets and put the hole, I don't know if I have one where you can see it, but the hole is like an inch up on the side, and it's a big hole, and that way there is a reservoir of water in the bottom. But here we've got spinach and some fresh lettuce. I put these in last week, and then the more spinach. So this spinach I put in last week. This spinach I put in 2 weeks ago, so you can see how far it has come in just a week's time. This lettuce I put in like 3 weeks ago, and it has taken over, so I can cut and come again. I have taken several heads of lettuce to the farmer's market to sell, so that's why I've had to replace entire heads of lettuce. And then again, some more collard greens. Some of them have gotten bitten off, but as you can see, the newer inside leaves are not getting eaten. So I think we are past the pest pressure. And then this is another type of kale, and it's looking really lovely. So that is actually a lot of food right there. I mean, we could possibly get a whole salad for the family, because we're a family of 5 adults, basically, out of this one, and then maybe this one, and then in 2 weeks it will have flush back. You can also, here in another week or two, just one of these buckets, I could pick the majority of the spinach leaves to make like a quiche or something, so the plants would rebound. And that's a dinner right there. The collard greens, I don't know if these two would be enough to make a meal, but between these two and the collard greens over there, I definitely have enough to make a meal, and then they'll flush back. So like every 2 to 3 weeks, I can have fresh collard greens. And even in the winter, when they grow slower, I would say maybe, I'd still say every 2 to 3 weeks, because collard greens are actually going to take the cold up until, you know, probably below 20 degrees. But I can cover these, like I showed you, I have the systems in place to cover those, and I can get them through any of the really cold winters weather. The kale, same thing. I can add it to salads, or I can add it to a quiche or a stir fry. So these are all fresh green options that we are using through the fall and into the early winter. At least through Christmas, I'll be able to do most of this. The lettuce, if it gets frostbite, then that of course would be gone, but I will cover quite a bit of it. And some of these I can even pick up and take inside. I mean, I can take them in the door right there, and they'll be perfectly fine. The herbs will go, but once I start picking a lot of the lettuce out here, I probably will not replant that for the fall because we're getting late now. But I will go ahead and add more beets. I will put in some carrots. I can put in a lot of things that are going to overwinter, and then even provide food in the spring. So if I wanted to do more, I have all of these pots, all of these containers, all of these barrels. Once these plants die away, because the flowers will not make it through the hard frost. They won't. The violas will make it for a little bit. The pansies will make it for a little bit. But once we start getting like consistent frosts, those will be gone. The mums will be gone. So all of these containers I could go back in and put in more beets, carrots, collards, fast growing greens, microgreens. I mean, I could take, let's see, this bucket right here, or this one, and put in microgreens, and every 2 weeks have microgreens, because I could keep it covered. I have like this little TP umbrella thing, mini greenhouse I could put over that, and every 2 weeks have microgreens. Because microgreens aren't going to, they're all brassica family, they're not going to just kill over in the cold. But this is a lot of space, and now granted I know my deck is huge, but a small patio, I mean, this is, I think, 8 feet wide and, I don't know, 12 feet long or something. And then, I mean, it wraps around the house, and the back porch is actually really big. But my closest hose is over here. And there is one down here, but I can't get to it unless I drill a hole in the deck. So that doesn't make it optimal to use right now, because I can't get to it. So I don't really do anything on the back, except that's where my grill and stuff is. But this is a lot of food space, guys. I mean, even if you just had one of these raised beds or just the bucket garden right there, that's a lot of food. So I just wanted to encourage you that even if you are not like a farmer, or you do not have a lot of space, that you can grow some good quality food in a small space. And you know, this is this type of stuff that I'm cooking with right now. Am I going to the grocery store? Absolutely. Am I using a lot of canned and preserved food? Absolutely. But you can add some of that bright freshness to your food that just takes your recipes over the top. So this is literally like my fall kitchen garden, and I love it. And so I wanted to take a pause in the fall baking and the fall cooking and all the fall, you know, goodness that we've been doing every week. The cat just got the dog. And show you the scale of gardening that I'm doing right now that is very achievable for, I feel like, anybody to do, to bring some high levels of nutrition, some fresh greens, and to help with the finances. Seeds are so cheap, and so, you know, putting in seeds for lettuce and seeds for beets and things like that, you can get a lot more food and bang for your buck in these pots that you can reuse over and over. Yes, the expense in the beginning is going to seem, you know, exorbitant compared to going to the grocery store, because it's like, oh, I have to buy the pots, oh, I have to buy the soil and then the seeds. And so here I've spent, let's say on the bucket garden, I'm not sure how much the wood for that would be right now, but you don't need the wood technically. You could just line the buckets up along your porch. So let's say you have a nice cement patio. You could get 8 5-gallon buckets. They're around $3.50 at like Harbor Freight or Rural King or Tractor Supply or Lowe's. Most 5-gallon buckets range around that $3.50 mark. And then you can get bags of soil. I use Daddy Pete's, which is about $8 for a bag, but that $8 will fill up 2 buckets. So you're looking at, for 4 buckets, let's see. So for these 4 buckets of food right here, whoops, these 4 buckets of food right there, you are looking at $9, $12, $15 for the buckets, and then another $15 to fill them up with soil. So for $30, you've given yourself a small garden that you could grow a lot of greens in, you could grow a lot of collards in, you could grow herbs for your kitchen in. So, you know, that's the $30 investment, yes, that you could have bought a lot of collard greens or a lot of squash or whatever at the grocery store. But you can reuse this with a little bit of, you know, a $7 bag of fertilizer that you add to the soil every now and then, and constantly replanting. You can reuse that. You can grow a squash plant in 1 5-gallon bucket and have squash all summer long, probably more than you could buy at the store. Any of the greens, the collard greens and things like that, can be cut and come again. So that 1 bucket can keep producing and keep producing. So your $30 investment over 1 season has probably paid for itself. And then the next year, you might buy a little bit of soil to top it off. You will definitely buy a little fertilizer, but you've already got the seeds, you've already got the soil, you've already got the bucket. So that year becomes almost instant production and profit. Not profit financially, but profit, well, yeah, financially to you, because you're no longer buying things at the store. So I just wanted to show you some very doable options and what it looks like to garden, not in a garden, even as a farmer, but just strictly to use for fresh foods in my cooking and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's definitely a little bit different than what we've been doing. So if you are new and you've only been seeing my cooking videos, I hope this helps you. You can go back. I do have some gardening videos way back. This probably will be one of the only ones I do this season. But I hope this helps you, and I hope it inspires you. Grow something. Start with 1 5-gallon bucket. Start with a pretty pot, you know, that you can put stuff in. Grow something. Even if you think you have a black thumb, try to grow a food. Food is different from flowers. So anyway, thank you for joining me today, and I will see you on the next video. We will be back to cooking.